Today's subject is about scrolls, social media, no social skills, the texting generation,
Okay.
and how short our attention span really is. It's very shocking. So, I went and took the liberty just to do a couple of definitions, just so we can get everybody on the common ground, right? So, social media means websites and applications that enable users to create and share content or participate in social networking. Now, that doesn't say all in the same room, it means external, right?
Right.
And so I also kind of Googled the pros and the cons of social media
Mm-hmm.
and the effects that it have on your mental, your physical, psychological, you name it, emotional, just overall. I can't think of the word what I'm trying to say. But they actually gave me some pros. I was expecting more cons than pros.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna just give you a couple. Well, here. Connection and community,
Okay.
information and education,
Okay.
business and marketing,
Okay.
and civic engagement.
Got it.
That was the pros.
Sure.
Now, the drawbacks, the cons. Mental health
Mm-hmm.
linked to anxiety, depression, loneliness, poor self-esteem, and fear of missing out, which they call it FOMO.
Mm-hmm.
Digital stress. Never heard of this term, but it means constant content and pressure to respond leads to overwhelm activity, especially for teens. There's cyberbullying and harmful content, which is exposure to violence, self harm, illegal activities, things that are risky. Misinformation. I think that's a big era now. We have AI, deep fakes, people who just make stuff up. You know, we hear certain things about celebrities dying and they really didn't, right? And then you got echo chambers. That's a new word or term. This is called users get stuck in filter bubbles, reinforcing existing beliefs. So, what do you feel about when you get on your phone and you scroll?
It's a trap. Um, you know, I, I have in one of my poems, and this is before social media was big. He's suffering from TME. That's too much entertainment. Replacement for life in 3D. So we take two steps back as we watch the next generation come out 2 times as lazy and under 3 times the psychological attack. Right? So,
That's me
yes.
snapping my fingers.
So the TME is like, I remember when I was a kid, when Atari 2600 came out, that was the first video game beyond like the ping pong and the little dots that we played. And our graphics was so simple, but I do remember that when it came out for like 3 months, me and my friend Brian Chambers, shout out to BC with you over there in Houston, near Houston area. We were addicted. Like we were zoned out like every day for like 3 months. And then we kind of broke out of it. But
Wow.
just imagine if the graphics were, say, 10 times better than it was, what type of pull it would have, let alone them being 150, 1,000 times better than what we had. So the advantage of the technology superseded, it's like a good drug. It's like something that really got you where you wanted to feel and what you wanted to see. And it's so captivating for these young generation because, like that verse says, it's a replacement for life in 3D. And that's my take on that. Is like social media, scrolling, all of that. Not only do they have such a distraction in the technology, but they have algorithms to feed you what you want to hear and show you what you want to see. But you forget that when you're doing your research, there's no replacement for real life. There's no replacement. They still haven't found a replacement for a book.
Yeah.
Right? Although it is very advantageous to use these tools. But the problem with these tools is that they replace real life, and people don't know how to balance the two.
Yeah.
And so my thing is that when you're on there, you have to be cognizant that this isn't real, that
Right.
you're on a computer, and the computer is dumb, and it doesn't discern for you what you need it to really discern for you. And like you said earlier, when it has those echoes, when it starts echoing what you want it to say, it starts echoing your viewpoints, it starts echoing what you thought or believed in, then it becomes dangerous because you think you're a researcher and you become the opposite of that. You become just a regurgitator of whatever you were fed. So most people's information that they get off of social media, I give social media 2 thumbs up and 5 thumbs down.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. I also saw in here, these were some key stats for 2024 and 2025. Teen usage, they say 97% of teens use at least one platform.
Oh, yeah.
45% feel that they spend too much time on social media, and that was up 27% from 2023.
Right. Well, it's a neural drug.
Yes.
It's a digital drug, and you have to see it as that. It's an addiction. And like I say, ultimately, when they came out with these tools like social media, the word socializing is in there. It was a benefit because we were geared towards already socializing. So now if you take your normal social settings and your normal social desires and your normal social cravings and your normal social norms in real life, and then say, oh, I'm going to give you this tool that's going to increase the benefit of it because now you can reach out a little more. And we're like, awesome, great, that's awesome. But what happens is we started leaving our normal social settings,
Right.
our normal social life.
The playground.
That's right.
The bikes.
The skating rinks, even at the club or whatever you want to do, even your neighborhood, walking around in the neighborhood. So now that all of that became abandoned and is replacement, that's why I say replacement for life in 3D. It's not bad that we have these tools. It's bad that these tools have replaced the norms, right?
Yeah.
Nobody wants to really do the research anymore. I found an interesting statistic, and excuse me if I don't know the exact number, but I'll tell you what it minimized at. It was 90-something% of all college graduates never read a book in their life after they graduate from college.
Wow.
So, we have a hard time really justifying this because if you take the time to read a book, I'm an author myself, Diagram of the New World, as I'm going to put that plug in. But if you take the time to write a book, right, you're on a different pedestal than someone just talking or saying something or putting out this little short piece of information that they could have gotten off of AI.
Yes.
And so they don't really have the skin in the game that an author has, right? And when an author's speaking and you're reading and doing research, you've got skin in the game because you're invested in the outcome. It's not coming to you quickly. So since you're invested in an outcome, you automatically want to get it right. I want to check several sources. I want to read several books, and I want to dictate in my own mind what I see is true and what not. Whereas in social media, everybody thinks that they're the researcher. Everybody thinks that they've studied something. It gives us an illusion that all of these people suddenly became researchers and teachers of truth. And it's just not true. I didn't grow up with everybody thinking that there was a researcher and teacher of truth. We knew the people who had done certain things and were qualified to speak even as children on certain topics. Now everybody has a microphone, and on one side you say that that's good, but there was a reason that we used to say, Nas is like, there's only one mic. We don't go into a building where there's 900 microphones.
Right.
Right? Because then everything gets lost in the shuffle. So that's my thing with it, is like it replaced what we used to do. And the computer, the digital world is no replacement for real life.
So we should start a movement.
Mm-hmm.
Bring back Britannica.
Oh, yeah.
Encyclopedias.
Yes. Yes.
Remember the time we took granddaughter down to the, what was the name of the librarian?
Grassroots Bookstore. And Brother Nate, I could almost call his last name. He convinced my granddaughter
Morrison.
Yeah, there you go. Nate Morrison. Mm-hmm. And he convinced her that he just looked at her and said, you're an author. Why aren't you writing? I don't know what brought that out, but she went back the next day, and I've got to shout out to Nate, and I've got to actually see him in person and thank him for that, because when she began to write, me as a writer, I was like, this isn't normal.
J-Lo wrote, I think she said she got up to 4 chapters.
Yes. And
like within that week.
Her first 3 paragraphs, we were like,
whoa. Yes. I
remember. It took somebody else, like I say, it takes a village. He saw that, he said something about it, and I don't know what he saw, why he said that.
Yeah.
But she has definitely got I come from a family of writers. But when she read those first 3 paragraphs, I was like,
oh my, me too. I was very intrigued that it took that spark.
Right.
Just that spark.
Right.
And she's one of those children who doesn't have a phone, currently.
Right.
She do have one, but
she had one.
Had one.
Had one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for her to pick up the pencil and paper.
Right.
And to get in there and use her imagination. And she wrote 4 chapters.
Yeah. And who knows what she wrote by now, especially if she doesn't have her phone.
Right. And she has some director skills, because remember with her sisters.
Yes.
She had them playing out the roles.
Yes. 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 So what happens is we become consumers and not producers. Mm. And I remember I've been telling young people about this all the time who use computers and technology of that nature. They said, do you want to be on one side or the other? Are you a consumer or are you a producer? And to consume the information is one thing, but to produce the information is another thing.
Yeah.
So if you're producing information and you're then at that point, then the tool is of a benefit to you. Ultimately, at this point, it's for people to be able to disseminate truth that is able to liberate and progress people.
Yes.
And to make income. And if you're not doing either one of those, you're just playing. And you're playing too much. You might as well be on a video game.
And that's where it's at. People are really giving off of a fallacy of, knowledge and wisdom, but it all unfolds immediately,
right?
Based off of their shallow.
Yeah. My question is, if I take away social media, how many people are going to come see you speak? Right? And so, social media, you can put a pretty picture up there. then they'll appear to listen to what you're saying,
Right.
right? You take the pretty picture down, then they seem to disappear,
Yes.
right? Especially if you leave it down for several posts, right? And it's the same with people. We get popular for whatever reason, but when it comes to information, if I set all of these people down in a panel and I said, hey, we're going to have a informational conversation, an intellectual conversation, how many of these people would draw a crowd for their intellect?
I would add to it, they can't have phones.
Yeah. Yeah.
That will draw the line in the sand.
Yes. Yes. I mean, even like you're constantly asking me questions, and I didn't even, I'll be honest with you, I thought we were going to talk about another one of the topics that you had when I sat down. Because I did have 2 notes on my phone, right? Just 2
Okay.
notes. But, at the end of the day, we can draw a distinction between what's our opinion and what we know for fact,
Right.
right? And what our experiences are. There's anecdotal experiences, and then there's the statistical realities, right? And so a lot of people get caught in anecdotal experiences. And it's really dangerous in today's time to be stuck in the anecdotal, because we already talked about echo chambers, echoing, as you said. And so the social media, if I'm on my platform and I say A, B, and C, it'll go over well, right? But I've gotten on other platforms and said the same ABC, and it didn't go over well at all, right?
Yes.
I was brutally attacked, right? for the same type of thing that is always said on my platform. But my platform is going to generally be shown to the people who engage in it, and the people who engage in it are people who usually very much love it, or maybe they very much hate it. But I'm kind of hard to consistently hate. I'm kind of a guy that's hard to consistently hate. So they kind of fall off, the ones that were just there for the debates. And I give you a debatable thing to talk about. I don't pull punches. But they'll kind of fall off. The people who are regularly in my feed, I know this.
Yeah.
They are overwhelmingly my supporters. Now, all of my supporters don't agree with me all the time. They're no yes men. They come in and say, hey, no, I like what you do over there, but I kind of struggle with you over
which is
here.
good.
It is very good. It's very good. But if I go on to some young 24-year-old and try to say, hey, you guys need to stop, they come out the woodworks and they think that I am Godzilla with a baby diaper on, and stinking up the place. They can't even imagine. And so it's just an example of how the social media feeds you what you believe in and what you like, and you don't get adjusted by the reality of the world.
Yeah. Speaking of the labeling, you and I will be considered Generation X. And I think we were talking a couple days ago, and I was like, there is different generations coming up where our kids are a part of the, I think it was Generation Alpha and Generation Beta. And it's just been really mind-boggling how they are so offended by what our generation has or suggests. And I think throughout life, we've given good information, great knowledge, a little bit of wisdom, sometimes a lot, because we grew up as that latchkey kid. And we were outside playing, and we had social skills. We knew how to make a friend. We grew up making friends. Whether we were like, hey, come join us, or would you like to do this? Hanging out with each other. And we made good friends, we made bad friends, and we made enemies. But one thing we did know how to do was make friends. We had relatable skills. And Now social skills is spilling off into the workplace, it's spilling off into the family, it's spilling off into your relationship. All of these lack of skills shows that people are becoming a hermit.
Yeah, because everybody's on quick fix.
Popcorn.
Yeah, they're on quick fix. Social media is a quick fix. It's a dopamine hit. It's instant. It's instantaneous. It's an instant friendship. It's an instant connection. So that everybody's using that as a matrix, and they get used to that. So now the parents are trying to quick fix with the children, right?
Wow.
And so the parents want to be a good parent by giving you ice cream, right? That's the quick fix to make you feel like you're a good parent. Oh, I got him ice cream. Or I got him new shoes that he wanted, right? Our parents weren't quick fix. Our friendships weren't quick fix. They weren't quick.
Yeah.
Like, you wind up having a friend that you didn't even know was your friend. Like, they just guy, like some people ask me about some people, they're like, when did you meet him? I'm like, I don't know. He just showed up. I don't remember meeting him. I really
Right.
don't. I don't remember. I've been knowing him for years, but I don't remember.
they
I
just
don't
showed
remember the meeting the guy. But he's an awesome friend. Like,
Right.
every time I need him, he's there. I don't know. He just showed up. I got quite a few little friends like that. They just showed up, right? And there was nothing quick about it.
Yeah.
And so one of the things about when you talk about how we went outside and we communicated and socialized, and that was literally, I was thinking lately about how much that meant growing up. Like, growing up was a process, right? And
Yeah.
you went through the process in stages of maturity. You went through the process in stages of
Absolutely.
emotional immaturity and emotional maturity. You went through the process
Absolutely.
where somebody said something and you cried. And then you learn that, they don't define me.
Yeah.
And I don't need a friend that I got to keep making happy all the time. And, you learn to cut dead weight. And it's, by the time you're 15 or 18 or 20, you're pretty much like, yeah, you're solid. Because you
Yeah.
didn't been through it in real life with, the kid riding the bike, and when they didn't want you to ride with them, and when nobody wanted to share their bubble gum with you. And you went through all of these things. And now I see adults wigging out over something that you should have figured out when you were like 9,
Man.
right?
The crash out is real.
Yeah, and so what happens is you got a generation of people with no emotional toughness. They talking about emotional intelligence. Well, what about emotional toughness? What about emotional security, which comes from within? And what about emotional control? How do we control our emotions?
And regulate our emotions.
I know I was in a lot less control of my emotions when I was 5 than I am
yeah.
today. That's why we had temper tantrums. We were crying all the time. We
Yeah.
were screaming. You go do all of these different things. You're on the schoolyard. All of our friends, we fought our friends back then. As an adult, we don't fight our friends. Why are we fighting our friends? Because we had no emotional control. We had no control over our emotions, right? So now, because the people have no emotional control, that's why they're zeroing in on everybody's emotional intelligence, because you have to be so careful not to say anything to trigger off their lack of emotional control. Like,
Wow.
now I can't have a conversation with you. I have to watch everything that I say because you have no emotional control. You can't continue to think in a logical sequence because somebody said something that you didn't like.
That is very true. Hence, mass shootings.
Exactly.
No control.
None.
And you just want to go off
None.
on just people.
Yeah. Suicide is up.
Yeah.
All of these things in the advent of having an easier life, we're emotionally and psychologically worse off than our predecessors were.
Yeah. So let me share this. And when we fought, we made up.
Sometimes within 2 hours. Some of my best friends to this day,
Yes.
we've exchanged lips and noses. And
And-
to this day,
Yeah.
we've got no problem. So yeah. So yeah,
I think we're the last generation that has long-term friends. We can say that we have friends from grade school into adulthood.
Oh yeah, plenty. It's amazing. You see people you've been knowing for 30, 40, 50, all
Yeah.
of these years. So it's a beautiful thing.
So let me read this real quick about some stats from 2024 to 2025. It shows that Americans, especially younger generations, are experiencing social skill declines with significant drops in face to face interaction. That's down to 30 to 50% since 20 years ago. Increased loneliness. 21% of adults are lonely as of May of 2024.
Oh yeah.
And I believe that number is way more.
Oh yeah, it's chronic, and there's another statistic with men. Men are really suffering because there's
Yeah.
a generation, there's a young generation, the young generation of men
Oh my
who
gosh.
have opted out. And I remember talking to you about this earlier.
Our sons.
There's an epidemic of male virgins under
Yeah.
the age from all the way up to the age of 40, an epidemic. And so never in the history of any civilization have I ever heard of the male virgin population drastically outnumbering the female virgin population.
You're right. You're right.
Drastically,
None.
right?
Here, let me add this to the pot. And challenges with emotional social support, largely driven by increased screen time, remote work, and the pandemic's impact affecting everything. It's affected everything from basic communication to mental well-being.
Yes. Well, at the end of the day, I'm going to go back to this. What I always go back to, corporations. Who's profiting off of this, right?
That part.
And
Capitalism is real.
Yeah, most of the homes we live in, these tract home communities that we live in, they're what they call master plan communities. They plan to put the school there. They plan to put the playground there. All of that was pre-planned when they built the place, right? So they know what anchor stores are going to be on the corner. So they're master plan communities. So these types of things are master plan things.
Yeah.
It's not a conspiracy. It's more of just a factual reality that if you think for 1 second that your government isn't involved in your entertainment, in your movies, in your media, right? And at the end of the day, they all work for the same people. They work for the corporatocracies, right?
Yes.
And so the same genre of science that I said is responsible for manipulating our behavior, which is the psychologist, are the same genre that you got to run to for help because of the psychological attack that they put you under. So never before when I was a kid where there's this big advent about going to see a therapist and, oh, girl, if you didn't do the work, you can't speak to me without doing the work. And if you didn't get healed and repair yourself, I get it. I'm not knocking the psychologists who are actually out there working to help. But there's a funny thing going on that now all of a sudden we're paying someone to do what our loving parents used to do for us,
Yeah.
which was guide us and counsel us. What happened to Big Mama? What happened to your mama? What happened to your uncle? What happened to the real friend
Right.
that could lead you if you had a problem and lead you in the right direction? Now, I'm not saying that don't go. I'm saying that you have to be suspicious of a world where everybody is recommended to have a psychologist or a therapist, and now you're considered to have something wrong with you if you haven't been. I want to know, well, how did you get so out of sorts in the first place that you needed one?
Yes. Because we never knew how, or they didn't know how to convey their feelings or regulate their feelings. And so therefore they just did it was just what the kids call a crash out. And that is a bad reaction. if you haven't been told that you're going to go to jail if you put your hands on somebody younger than you, maybe a different gender, and you're beating them, that you can go to jail.
Right.
They're not finding out at a young age.
See, that's another one, and this is my opinion on this. I think they moved too far on the needle of telling the children in the schoolyard that they can't fight.
Yes.
When I was a kid, we was kind of
can see that.
we was kind of allowed to fight. Nobody officially said you could fight, but it wasn't a big deal if you had a fight, right? And especially for boys. So it wasn't a big deal. You wasn't, especially at a young age, you wasn't going to get kicked out of school because you had a fight. Right?
You might have a detention.
Yeah. You just go in detention for a day or whatever.
Paddle.
At the worst. Most of the time, it's like, just don't do it in the classroom. Just respect the teacher. So that's why we say meet you outside, right?
3 o'clock.
Understand? You know what I'm saying? So we're gonna get it on. So we're gonna settle this. Now I'm not advocating that. I'm saying was you could push the needle too far. So now this energy and this learning experience, right? This learning experience is what I talk about, part of growing up, right? So men, and this is what I caution women in when they try to say, well, I'm using masculine, and we'll get into that later, right?
Yes, different subject. We got all of that.
You're imitating something you don't really know the rules and laws to it. Because when a woman thinks that she's saying the same thing as a man, she's not saying the same thing as a man.
Absolutely.
We have a way of communication, and we have a natural ranking system.
Right.
And in the natural ranking system that you're unaware of, there's things that I wouldn't dare say to certain men. Right? I wouldn't dare say it. And there's certain tones that I wouldn't dare say unless I'm ready to kill him or be killed.
Wow.
But you other people who are pretending, they're coming with these tones and with these things and with this force, and they don't realize that the only reason our alarm is going off, that we're not crashing out, as you say, is because they're not actually a man. But you're triggering them because no man would say that to a man. But you think you see the roughness that we have with each other. What you don't see is the clearness of, hey, this is play. I'm playing. Hey, this is my friend. I've established a relationship with him. And next, we have a built-in ranking system. Men come over time with a built-in ranking system. This one you don't do that with, that one you don't do that with. And I'll be damned if you do A, B, and C with him. We already know what's going to happen to you. Don't do it. And so we respect each other in that vein. And that's something that you learn growing up when, it's Saturday morning and this guy's banging on the door and you open the door and it's like, hey, can you ask your mom if you can come out to play? And there's like 7 bicycles in your front yard and you're like, Mama, can I go? And, and if you get your chores and everything, that was all the time.
Yeah.
And so we're enjoying each other. Then we're going through the cycles of learning. Part of the cycle of learning was literally getting punched in the mouth. There was a penalty for getting it wrong.
Yes. And you learned the lesson.
So we were learning one stage of our pecking order by punching each other in the mouth.
The hierarchy.
If you didn't say the wrong thing to the wrong person, you wouldn't get punched in the mouth.
That part.
But see, nobody wants to talk about that. We were establishing something in reality.
And that was establishing some type of connection.
Yes, it was.
And that's a social connection.
It's a social connection.
And the social connection was either we're enemies or we're friends or we're going to make up and get it right.
And as kids, it never meant that we were enemies. That's the thing about it.
I didn't have any. I had haters, but I never had enemies.
As young children, we were never really enemies because we had a fight. It was really just establishing, hey, you don't do or say that to me. And once it was
Integrity.
over, it was over.
Over. Yeah.
And sometimes people just want to test the product. They just want to test it out. They want to see. And so it becomes an unofficial ranking system. And it wasn't the only thing that we were ranked on. It wasn't just the physical abilities. There were other things, right? We knew that certain people were, they were the one we followed for this. They were the ones that we asked questions. This was the funny guy, right? This was the guy that you want to link up with if you want to talk to the ladies.
Yeah.
Right. So it was like a certain, you had little specialists. You go, and he when it comes to that, he was the leader.
Mm-hmm.
So most people don't understand that what they call, I don't like the term, but for practical use, we use it nerds. Nerds had their place. Nerds actually, we utilized the nerds. We wasn't all just, I didn't go from like a real bullying, like emotional bullying type scenario. I didn't live in that. In at least in the Black community, I didn't see a lot of emotional bullying. There were men like at the one day, if you say something, like I say, you might get wrapped across the lips, but it wasn't a lot of emotion. We embraced the nerds. We embraced every person there. It was like our nature to embrace all of those things. Mm-hmm. And you were just known for what you were known for. You weren't known for what you weren't known for.
Right. And just to add to it about the bullying, we knew how to either trigger a bully to be mean or to stop. And it always was because of lack. They had a lack of material goods. They or they didn't like the way that you look better than them. And you always could have social skills enough to talk to them, or our parents talked to each other.
Yeah.
And usually the parent would be like, hey, if you ever want to come over and have dinner with us, we could do that. But you're not going to be doing this.
Yeah.
And that's when parents talked.
Yeah.
Not only that, cyberbullying, which is going on now, kids don't even know how to disengage
They can't just pull the plug on the computer.
or turn it off.
Just turn it off.
Or just block them.
Yeah, because in their mind, that's the whole world. And it's not. And nobody has that reach.
Yeah.
People think, I'm going to tell everybody about you. You can't tell everybody about me. You don't have that reach. Everybody's not listening to you. So talk all you want.
Yep.
Convince your little friends that I probably don't like, that I'm a bad guy. I could care less, right?
Confidence kills a bully.
Yeah.
Confidence literally removes
because you're
bullies.
gonna go on as business as usual. Now, I will say that there's a slight nuance between girls and boys, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
There's you draw a Venn diagram, right, where things cross sect, right, and where it becomes the same, but as it moves around, it may have some of the same but different proportions, right? So it's different proportions, right? So for the proportions of men when I was growing up, there was really only fisticuffs. Mm-hmm. And most of fisticuffs wasn't about bullying. Most of fisticuffs was about establishing a pecking order.
Basically.
And if you was going to be the guy on that portion of the pecking order that wasn't going to be beneath anybody, then you were getting into more fights than the guy that was a little more docile and was like, I ain't got time for none of this. You know what? Whatever. Look, you can have it, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't that guy. You can have it. I'll fight you for it.
Right.
Right. And so, you sign up for those types of things.
Yeah.
And some of them that sign up for it, they'll have a tougher time than the other ones. Some of them have an easy time because he's just that much bigger and everything else. The other guy, he's not even bigger or anything. He's just like, he's not having it.
Right.
He's just not he's not going to have it. I don't care how big you are. Right. And so like I say, when it comes to the bully, it's the slightly different experience, but the kids now are going through something on a level that we didn't go through. Now, we could talk about how great it was when we were kids, but
Yeah.
they have advantages that we didn't have.
Yes.
They have in some ways they have it tougher than we had it.
Yes.
We want to talk about how tough it was and how we had to be tough. Well, in some ways they have it tougher because they didn't create the environment that we're talking about.
None whatsoever.
They don't really have an option of going outside and learning the way that I learned, because if they did try to do that, no other kids are out there to play with.
And I might add that they had the lack of support. When my mom saw that, I was upset about something, she's like, baby, calm down. You got this. She encouraged me.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there was times she encouraged me to go over there and whip they butt,
Yeah. Yeah.
But that emotional support, that parental support, that guidance from the neighbor, like, hey, you don't do that. You're too pretty to be doing that, or
Right.
you're too smart to be doing that. You know,
Right.
where your village gave you support.
Right.
And the kids today, they don't have that.
No, they
Their
don't.
village is a social media, and that could turn on you
Yeah.
in a matter of minutes.
Yeah. Now, I tell you that I came up just a few years ahead of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched a shift,
Yeah. I did.
right? And it wasn't as drastic as what we're talking about, but there's a little shift. Mine was a little more hardcore.
Mm-hmm.
The teacher, the parent, would all repeat the same line. They had
Absolutely.
they had the same exact line for you. Sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. Now, we do know that words do hurt,
Yes.
right?
They
But
can.
that was put in us so much when we went to them that no matter how many times you bumped your head, no matter how many times you cried, no matter how many times you
Yeah.
did, they reminded you. And so they were toughening you up
And instilling confidence.
and in the world to the point to where you were able to mature and try to get to the point in life where what somebody said, you dealt with it internally, and you came out with, it doesn't matter. I'm moving forward with my game plan. I'm going to be me, regardless of what they think and what they say. So that was a level of emotional toughness. You can talk about intelligence all you want, but if you ain't got no toughness, if you're fragile
Right.
out here, and somebody can say something and rattle you and cause you to lose your job, you lose your position and lose your life out here,
Yeah.
man, it's a sad thing for you, because your therapist might not be there that day.
Right.
Your mama might not
And
be
you
home.
don't know how to self-regulate or self-soothe.
So we got a bunch of men that are emotional. They call them thugs. They call them tough guys. They call them gangbangers and gangsters. But in reality, they're little boys. They're sissies. They have no emotional toughness. And most of them never had a fight. That's why they shoot you.
Yeah. Or they lost a fight.
Yeah, that's why they're shooting. So they haven't proved any tough guyness. They haven't proven anything. They're not masculine, right? And so they're operating off of a demasculine state. Because the ultimate of masculinity is the transformation of boy to man,
Yeah.
right? So what we did as boys was practicing for being men. So the ultimate word of masculinity is actually a man. And ultimately, a man doesn't do childish things.
Yeah.
And ultimately, a man isn't hyper concerned with what you think. Otherwise, you're the ruler and not me. If what you think matters to me, then you're in charge of me. If what you think doesn't matter to me, then I'm in charge.
Absolutely.
And so a man, when he's in his true essence, is going to be minimal times that he's hyper concerned with what you think. And that's been pulled out of the world.
And
And
it's
so there's
become
no
a struggle.
Yeah. So there's no way that you could tell me that anybody who's in a gang that isn't providing him a 401k, isn't providing him medical coverage, isn't providing him an education, isn't the biggest fool. They're arguably what we would call retarded, right? And so it behooves me in
I'm sorry. That is not a funny thing.
Yeah.
But I totally
Yeah,
agree.
as a man, I could see a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old. Hey, man, I'm in a gang. I could see that. I get it. I grew up in the neighborhoods, right? But at the end of the day, we have to take a look at ourselves and ask ourselves why we're behaving in a particular way at 25, 30, 35, right? And so now this type of thing gives the false narrative of what manhood is and what masculinity is, when its reality is the exact opposite. Masculinity is about the law. Masculinity is about protection,
Yeah.
right? Masculinity is about longevity, intellect, intelligence, right? So that's what masculinity is. Masculinity provided the world, the society, what it needs to survive. It's not a destructive force. It's a protective force. So when people see the destructive side and they use what masculinity does in a crisis when it's being attacked and only uses that feature and calls it masculine, then you've got a dumb understanding of what masculinity is.
Yeah. We're going to have to change that subject because sounds like there's more meat on the bone for that one.
Oh, yes.
So we're going to,
Yes.
because we're going to talk about masculinity and femininity.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
So yes. I believe we have pretty much kind of covered, the things about this, popcorn, instantaneous indulgence of digital living.
Right.
And, there are some perceived pros and cons on this one too, but I wanted to go through them. I want you to give me just a quick summarization of what we got to do in our communities who are going through some of the effects of social media and what does that look like for a family to overcome. All right. So these are major disadvantages, and it started off with the cons first.
Right.
Okay. So, and we kind of briefed over it in the last segment, and they were loneliness and isolation. So that's lack of connection, feeling cut off, which is a major health risk similar to smoking. The next one is physical and mental health, and increased stress, anxiety, depression, poor sleep, high risk for heart disease, stroke, and even premature death. And then there's the career struggles, difficulty making friends, networking, finding jobs and succeeding professionally as teamwork, and communication ends up suffering. Other ones is relationship difficulties, whether it is romantic or not, especially with parental. Okay, so it's given the inability to form meaningful friendships, relationships, and partnerships. Stuck in bad habits. People may tolerate gaffes, but this prevents learning, leaving you unaware of your social blunders. That was just the cons. And what they said in here, they said the perceived pros, which is often short-lived or misleading. Freedom from obligation, which means no need to attend events, help help people move or deal with social demands like funerals. Another one is control over solitude, enjoying your own space, watching what you want, eating what you like without compromise. Another one, and the last one that is perceived, is avoiding social awkwardness. Can feel comfortable in solitude because you're used to it, avoiding the feeling of being socially awkward. And that just tells me lack of confidence, right? The reality is that the skills can be developed. And that is, to me, is getting outside.
Go outside.
Get uncomfortable.
Yeah, 100%. Because the easy way doesn't mean it's the best way. And all of those things, I wish I could touch on each one of them, like if we had the time. But all of those things is like they created an environment that is not real. That's
Yeah.
number one. And so how can you live up to the expectations of fantasy? It's all a fantasy. And so now we become even more idol worshipers than we were when I was a kid. Like I think
Yeah.
we talked about that in the last segment. You know, we're literally idol worshipers because who's going to have the most followers in social media? It's the celebrities, right? So now their life makes more of an appeal to our life. And we can't compare our life to their life.
Right.
Their life isn't real. It's they work in the entertainment business for a reason. Even their marriages are part of the entertainment business. It's not real. It's not how successful people operate. It's an illusion. You know, oh, I want to be successful. I want to be rich. That's not how rich people operate. Rich men do not marry women like that. That's number one. And successful women, great women don't marry men like that. But they want to portray that this is the norm, and is absolutely not the norm in successful areas. Where it is the norm is in areas of abject failure. And that's what they're guiding us to.
Right.
Everything about their relationship spells abject failure. No guy wants a woman who's been publicly sleeping around with A, B, C, D, E, and F, and G. She better keep that to herself, number one, right? And the more successful a guy is, and the more good he is, they use the word gooder. Y'all talking about y'all want a good man? The gooder ones, they're more stringent.
Yeah.
They're more stringent about it. And it's the same with the women. These women, they're not going for this guy, this clown, this bozo. They're not going for that. And so they created an unreal world. And even the people who are so-called friends or
Right.
people on our social media, they're only posting themselves on vacation, you know, dolled up for the party, with a wad of money. Nobody's posting their light bill due, humdrum, day to day that you would see in real life if you really went outside and dealt with people. They wouldn't be able to give you a little 30-second segment of their life to make you feel less than in your life. So this is why the
Absolutely.
suicide and depression is going up, because nobody measures up to the fantasy that we have on these fake devices. You can't measure up to it. You know, you can't even equal, most wealthy men can't even equal up to the image of the average poor guy on social media in real life. Because I can segment my life in such a way that you wouldn't be able to keep up. If every time you saw me, I was on a plane or on vacation, and I only chronicled that, and I gave you hours, sound bits of that, of the 4 vacations that I took.
Only the happy times.
Yeah, and I'm
Right.
sitting here making $450,000 a year and working every day. Like, man, I wish I had that money and the leisure to do that
Yeah.
that this kid can do, right? So it's just so much of a fantasy that we have to plug from it, and go back to reality. And it's like you say, get out of the popcorn fix and get into what may seem to be mundane now to the people who've been so so overly stimulated with certain images. We've been so overly stimulated and now we're bored with real life. Right? I was listening to a sister in a podcast talking about how she keep breaking up with men because she gets bored. But she doesn't realize it, like you're saying that you're suffering from something psychologically.
Yeah.
Because real life became too mundane from you. But the mundane, I said in one of my poems, I said going through the mundane so that I can become profane. Everything that you see that's profane, somebody had to go through the mundane to get there, including Michael Jordan. And nobody wants to see this guy sit around in the gym and shoot jumpers by himself for 4 hours.
Right.
Nobody wants to see that, right? You want to see the finished product.
Right.
But you don't think about all that he had to go through to get to that finished product. He was such a hard worker that his teammates were in awe of his work ethic. They were scared of him because of how much, if they get around him, they push him. While they were going out to party and spend their money, him and Kobe Bryant was in the gym working on their game.
Working out.
You're already the best. Why you still working? When you going to... Nah, ain't good enough.
Wow.
Ain't good enough. Y'all going to the party, this man's working.
Yeah.
So that's what we need. We need to be the happiness that comes from success and a stable mind and stable emotions. And I'm not saying that people don't have the thing called, understanding how not to hurt other people's feelings and, not being we used to call it an a-hole. Just basically, they got a fancy psychological term for being an a-hole. Like, stop being an a-hole, stop hurting other people's feelings. And but at the end of the day, we got to toughen up and understand at the same time on the flip end that our feelings don't run the world. And we need to regulate our own feelings and toughen our feelings up enough so that we're not so freaking dainty and fragile and immature.
Yeah.
Because those are signs that we used to see the difference between like a 6-year-old and a 9-year-old is that their feelings were just freaking all over the place. And you had to, but nobody wants to do that with you when you're 25, 30 years old. And now the result is because of their feelings, they'll squeeze the trigger and take your life.
Yeah. I think it starts with home.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, if you worried about nobody loved you, then that started at home.
Yeah.
Because somebody should have loved you enough at home to where if nobody else loved you, you should have been all right. Now, unfortunately, I know that that's not the case for everybody. But we begin to reflect that which was projected on us. And so the same people who didn't get the love at home sometimes are the hardest people to love. So when you do give them love, they don't respond well to it. They're suspicious, they're this, they're that, and they don't realize it, but they're inflicting you with what their mom inflicted them with.
Absolutely.
Right? Because
it's a tidal effect. Really, it is.
Right.
That person went through something. If you're feeling the way that they're treating you is mistreating you.
Yeah.
They went through something.
Yeah. And they become very difficult to love.
Yeah.
It becomes such a chore.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be hard. I shouldn't be sweating to love somebody.
But those are the type of people will help you to catapult from certain things. If you look at it in a different perspective, I always, what they say, make your haters your motivators.
Right.
So you have to truly have some integrity, some confidence, and emotionally regulate.
Mm-hmm.
And learn these skills, how to socialize. I dare you to go out there and make one friend.
There you go. Go outside and make a friend. Say hello to your neighbor. We don't even know our neighbors.
We don't know our neighbors.
We don't even know our neighbors. And here's the thing. We're so grandiose in our thinking. We're looking for this big thing, this big stage, this big event, this big day. Go on vacation. Girl, I went here. Guys went, oh, we got to go to Belize. We got to do this. Most of us have not explored the city that we live in.
That part.
Most of us don't really know our way around our own neighborhood no more.
Wow.
And you're overlooking all of these people that are right in front of you thinking that you're going to go somewhere else and make it better for yourself. It's like I told my brother. I said, one thing's for sure, my brother. I said, you got to take you everywhere you go.
Yes. Yes.
You got to take you everywhere you go. And every place is more or less the same. Mm-hmm. Every place on earth is more or less the same. When I say more or less, it means they got more of this and less of that. The only difference is they got more of this and less of that. But we have everything that every place has right here, just in different quantities.
Absolutely. I almost clapped on that one. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing some wisdom here about this. And I hope that to the people that are listening to this podcast and seeing this, take the time to sharpen your social skills at home, outside of your home. Get out there, make that one friend once a month. Add to your friend list and develop a relationship. And even when things don't even add up or they just try to understand perspectives. Okay? So thank you. Thank you, Abdul Speaks. We appreciate it.
You're welcome, and thank you. And I second what you say. Let's go outside and play again.
Yeah.
And we don't have to agree on everything to love each other. You know, there's certain things that is crucial. You can't be no serial killer and be my friend and certain things like that. But I ain't got to agree with everything. I ain't got to like the shoes on your feet to be your friend.
Yep.
And don't discard me just because we had a little tussle.
Right.
Don't kill me and never speak to me again
Because you
we had a
said something.
little tussle. Come on, that ain't love. Love means we can wrestle. The Lions wrestle.
Yes.
The Cubs wrestle, don't they?
Yes.
You know, they don't be like, oh, you ain't no real lion.
Sisters and brothers wrestle.
Sister and brothers wrestle. Sometimes you pull the fist out too.
Yes.
I ain't speak to him again. I ain't spoke to my brother for 42 years because he didn't
called me.
Yeah. He didn't bring
punk.
the macaroni and cheese to the family thing.
Well, let's go ahead and end this segment.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much for joining us with the Nitty Gritty. This is Tiffany L. Love, and
Abdul Speaks.
thank you.